Hey, it's Mazzy here, and I'm going to rank Neil Young's records. I narrowed it down to 13 of my very favorite Neil Young records, and I'm going to rank them in order from 13 to 1. First generation Neil Young fan, which means I grew up with these records. I got into Neil because I was a big fan of the Buffalo Springfield on those couple of albums, 2.25 albums. And of course, when he joined Crosby, Stills and Nash to add in Young, because they needed another instrumentalist, and worked on that second album by them. But I narrowed it down, and I'm going to show you my favorites. And please chime in. Again, these are my favorites, so they're going to come from my point of view. And yes, I'm calling it the best albums narrowed down, ranked in order from 13 to 1 from my point of view, because you're watching my video, my opinion, and I'd love to hear your opinions. And if it's different, that's totally fine. First, for those of you, I think a lot of people are into Neil Young. Neil Young has an extensive, massive catalog that's overwhelming. He's doing the Archive series records, and I'm showing all vinyl here except for one in my top 13 is on CD because I do not have it on vinyl. And I love these records. If you're new to Neil Young, there is a greatest hits CD and LP that you might want to get with the hits, but I think this would be a better choice for you. CD, vinyl. This came out in the 70s. It's a 3-record set, and what's great about it, it has the best of his work with the Buffalo Springfield, with Crosby, Stills, Nash, and with Neil Young early solo. I believe this came out around 1976, I think. Right. And this is really a great collection. And what's nice about it too, it flows really well. So I love this record. And again, just a little introduction if you're not into Neil Young and you want to get just kind of a taste. This is good for his, just through his 70s period, or not even through the 70s, but he put out so many records. So let's dive in. I like the country stuff, I like the folky stuff, I like the acoustic stuff, but I like the crazy horse, ragged stuff. If you can hear in the background while we're playing this, and I don't know if I can get away with playing Neil's music, but this is not included in my list, but I really like the soundtrack to Dead Man. It's really kind of just a jammy electric guitar ambient thing for the film by Jim Jarmusch. Dead Man with Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp does some sort of poetry narration on here, but I love this. I do have it on vinyl, but we're just we're digitalizing in the background here, something that Neil Young is not a huge fan of. So, coming in at number 13. This is from 1978, Comes a Time. This is one of his more folky records, melodic records, and it's got A Lot of Love, a song that he plays on here, but became a hit for Nicolette Larson before. She did one debut album. She sang with Neil Young. She was on Warner Brothers, and she died of cancer at a young age. But that's on here. Peace of Mind. Comes a Time is a beautiful acoustic song. Human Highway. Motorcycle Mama's kind of a funky number, and it ends with one of my favorite songs, but that he did not write. He does Four Strong Winds, which was a song that Ian Tyson wrote from Ian and Sylvia. It's a beautiful, beautiful Canadian song. Love it. It's on here. Number 13, Neil Young, Comes a Time. Okay, number 12 for me is Rust Never Sleeps from 1979. With Crazy Horse, noisy record, great record. It's better to fade out, fade away. Hey, hey, my, out of the blue and into the black. This is a story of Johnny Rotten. This is a good double bill with, it would have been good if I showed live Rust, because these are just really great records. So love this record. Again, noisy record, promo I got at the time from my Warner Brothers friends in 1979. Number 12, Rust Never Sleeps, Neil Young and Crazy Horse. Continuing with my favorite Neil Young records, number 11 is Le Noise. Le Noise doesn't get a lot of love, and I know there's a lot of people that just never grasped onto this record, but this is a record that Daniel Lanois produced. It was recorded in a house in this building, And there's a lot of loops, a lot of effects, a lot of recording effects, a lot of guitar effects, a lot of pedals, and it's just a brilliant record. Some good songs, melodic songs, deep down with all those effects. Of course, Daniel Lanois is the producer that really revitalized Emmylou Harris with her album Wrecking Ball, a personal favorite of mine, and also Willie Nelson's Teatro. Of course, he's worked with U2 and made some brilliant albums of him, of his own. So coming in at number 11, Lanois. Love this record. This is a personal favorite of mine. Coming in number 10, we're in our top 10 now. This is a loud record. This is a noisy record. This is a psychedelic record. And this is Psychedelic Pill. This is a heavy 3-record set, heavy stock. This record just is a jam record and just goes on with these really long, majestic songs with Neil Young and Crazy Horse. And every time you get Crazy Horse together with Neil Young, you know there's going to be jamming and a lot of screeching guitar. But I think this is a beautifully intense record, but not intense like massive hitting over your head. It's got some sort of, in a way, mellow and loud at the same time, if that makes any sense. It's very, it's got a mood to it that's just really, really beautiful. So 3-record set, Psychedelic Pill. I'm a big fan of this record. And what can I say? Coming in number 10, we're in our top 10 now. Neil Young records. Okay, number 9. Number 9. My 9th best Neil Young record from 1994. And I only have it on CD because it was right in the midst of the whole CD thing. So I think there are some vinyls in Europe of this, but it needs to come out in the Neil Young archive, and it is Sleeps with Angel. Sleep with Angels. It's funny, I was listening to this again the other day, and I remember driving up the coast of California, going up to Mendocino, or going up to an area called Sea Ranch, which is about 3 to 4 hours from San Francisco, to get away on the weekends occasionally. And I was blasting this record a couple of times around that time in 1994. This record is a wonderful record. You know, as I speak about it now, this could be in my top 3 or 4 or 5 Neil Young records, definitely. I'm not quite sure why it's so low here, but it's a friggin' great record. It's some of his best songwriting. It's some of his best arrangements with Crazy Horse, because it's not just a big old loud jammy affair that he did with Live Rust and Rust Never Sleeps and even Psychedelic Pill. Great songs, great arrangements. There's a great just atmosphere to this album that's haunting. Opens up this song My Heart with like a little, it seems like a harpsichord intro, which is it's just, I keep saying gorgeous and amazing and everything on these records. But Neil Young, this in a way is like his first solo album, but not really. And if I'm making no sense, you got to listen to this record. Play it over and over again. Put this in your car if you have a CD player in your car, or however you play your music. It needs a vinyl pressing. It's got to be a 2-record set, obviously, because it's a long record. But coming in number 9, Sleeps with Angels. I think I'm talking about this album like it should be a top 3 record. And maybe it should be. Coming in number 8, in a way, his sequel album, Harvest Moon. Obviously, somewhat of a sequel to Harvest. Has that kind of feel. Produced by Neil Young and Ben Keith again, and it is arranged by Jack Nitzsche. Jack Nitzsche did a lot of orchestration on the original Harvest, and has worked with Neil Young over the years a lot. 1992 originally this came out. The vinyl's been reissued. I think it's still available. This is a beautiful album. Harvest Moon is great. From Hank to Hendrix, War of Man. It's got a really wonderful natural beauty to it. And there's a song called Natural Beauty, so that makes sense. Old King, Dreamin' Man. Gorgeous, gorgeous record. Coming in at number 9, Harvest Moon by Neil Young. I kind of go back and forth with the loudy, noisy stuff and the melodic stuff, because I like both. You know, he did a number of albums in the 80s, and most of them I skipped. There's that period on Geffen Records. I don't think I picked any of those. But some people have, you know, fond memories of them. Some people can't stand them. So, coming in at number 8, Tonight's the Night. Now, I remember this period when these records came out. They didn't really get a lot of love. Everybody wanted Harvest. After Harvest was so big, that's what people wanted. They liked that sound. That's what put him over the top. That's what put him in the #1 spot or top 10 spot. And I think he was a little embarrassed by that. He wasn't sure how to deal with it. Of course, instead of following up with something very similar, he does these albums. A couple are in my top 10 here. But Tonight's the Night is a great record, again, co-produced by Neil Young and David Briggs. It's got Tonight Tonight, New Mama Albuquerque, Roll Another Number. Fantastic record. Kind of a jammy record, but a really, really a good record. Neil Young, Tonight's the Night. Coming in at number 8, I almost didn't include this. Not that it's not a great album, but I almost wanted to just do his proper albums that came out at the time. But this album on the Archive series that's been coming out, just people fall in love with this record when they hear it. It's from Massey Hall, 1971. Of course, there's a number of songs on here that would be on Harvest. That's part of the reason this wasn't released at the time, because he was getting ready to put out Harvest. And so obviously you're not going to put a live album out prior to the studio version of it. So this is an audiophile, a Dream, beautiful recording in Canada. Beautiful record. I highly recommend this record. Anybody who wants the acoustic sound mostly of Neil Young in that great ambient of Massey Hall, this is highly recommended. Number 5. You know, when someone has a hit album, when you're into an artist, like just really deeply entrenched, there's certain people that just don't like the obvious hit album, but I'm still including Harvest. A lot of people will list this as their #1 album because it's its most famous album. It's his hit with Heart of Gold. 1972, I saw him around this time. At the end of this video, I'm going to try to stick on several photographs that I took at Winterland in 1973, I think, 72 or 73. I saw Neil Young at Winterland, and Linda Ronstadt opened up for him. So I'm going to kind of like, at the very end, add those pictures on so you can kind of see what was going on. But it is a beautiful album, co-produced by Elliot Mazer. And of course, it's got Harvest, A Man Needs a Maid, with a great orchestration arranged by Jack Nitzsche again. Heart of Gold, Are You Ready for the Country, Old Man. Beautiful song that he wrote that he talks about in Massey Hall, about when he bought his ranch up above in the mountains, San Mateo County, just south of San Francisco. And he talks about the old man who lived on the property. Great, great song. Needle and the Damage Done. That is a live track from Royce Hall and Alabama on here. Great album. Neil Young, Harvest from 1972. Number 4. You know, Harvest is probably the easier to listen to, but this is an important album. Again, this album turned off some people when it came up, but number 4 for me is On the Beach. Neil Young, there's great songs that he would, you know, perform live over the years, like Ambulance Blues, Vampire Blues, On the Beach, Revolution Blues, and of course it starts out with Walk On, which is a kind of a fun song. But what was he thinking here? I love this record. I love this cover art. Neil Young, number 4 on my list of my favorite, my best Neil Young records, On the Beach. Number 4. Number 3 is Neil Young's debut. And yes, this is an original copy without his name on the cover. First pressing didn't have his name. Second pressing says Neil Young. So I got this when it came out because I had been a Buffalo Springfield fan. This record, in a way, sounds like a Buffalo Springfield album. It sounds like what Neil was actually doing in Buffalo Springfield. So it's a little more pop. It's a little more melodic at times. It's a little more somewhat psychedelic, neo-psychedelic maybe, but a great record. One of the best covers, I think, in his entire catalog. This is number 3. It's got a bunch of great songs, and of course, I used to always say it's got this handwriting that's been on his first few albums of lyrics and things. It's really difficult to read, even on vinyl. But I love this record. The Loner is on here, which was a great FM radio staple. Last Trip to Tulsa, The Old Laughing Lady, string quartet from Whiskey Boot Hill, Emperor of Wyoming, kind of an instrumental opening number on here. But I love this record. Neil Young's self-titled debut album. Number two. This really changed things for Neil Young. This is his second album with Crazy Horse. Everyone knows this is Nowhere. There are songs on here that he would do with Crosby, Stills and Nash and Young, including Down by the River and Cowgirl in the Sand. Great long songs that FM stations would play, the rock stations at the time. Just beautiful songs. Of course, it opens up with this great, wonderful single. I mean, it should have been a bigger hit, but Cinnamon Girl, what a great song. Round and Round is on here. As I said, Down by the River. I mean, every song on here is a fantastic song. This is a jammy song. This is, you know, I wouldn't call it psychedelic, but it's got that feel and just really beautiful songwriting. So 70s, that really mix just as the singer-songwriter thing was about to really open up. This is an electronic tour de force. I just love this record. I mean, this could be his best record, depending on, you know, where you're getting into Neil Young and your kind of mood. This is an amazing record. This is a great stoner record too. You know, being at high school when this came out, this is that type of record that just was magnificent, and it still is. It holds up. 50 years later plus, this is an incredible record. My second favorite Neil Young record, at least today. And then number one, I think this is the perfect record. This is the record that came out right before Harvest. I think this is the better album. I think this is the better songs. This is cohesive. It's got this great cover photograph by Joel Bernstein. And it's just a great record. It's got Tell Me Why. The acoustic opening, that opening track on here, is just really well recorded. After the Gold Rush, I think this album actually has some of his best lyrics. And for a young man to record this stuff in his early 20s, it's just magnificent. Southern Man is on here, which is a great song. Cripple Creek Ferry closes it out. Oh, Lonesome Me. So it's got the rock and roll and country mix in here. It's acoustic based, but I think it holds much better than Harvest, even though I love Harvest. And that's the one that broke him, and it's got a great fucking pair of patched jeans. So number one, my number one is After the Gold Rush, Neil Young. What a great record. This is 1970. Incredible, incredible record by Neil Young. Thanks for watching. Top 13 Neil Young records, rated, from my opinion, from 13 to 1, with a few other things that you should probably pick up if you want to get into Neil Young. Thanks for watching. Add your comments. Mazzy loves you.